All right, guys, the boggasphere has been decoded. So let's talk about it. Get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, this one is going to get weird, guys. This is going to get really out there and strange. So let's just go through it. This is from Jaime Maussan's channel, of course, where he's got a researcher trying to decipher the writing on the boggasphere, which seems to be some sort of proto-Sanskrit. And yeah, she's able to decipher it. Now, she goes through each symbol and explains each one in some detail, and some of them can mean multiple things. And then she gives a shortened version at the very end about what she thinks the overall meaning is. However, there's obviously a lot more information in there since she spent several minutes talking about each symbol. So the full message is probably much longer, but it may take some time to ultimately get that. Obviously, we're also going to need some other researchers to go over that material as well and corroborate that translation or deciphering, whatever we're going to call it. And it's very possible, since multiple of these symbols have multiple meanings, that different researchers could come to different conclusions about the meaning. But here is what she had to say about the meaning of it. And then we're going to get into the implications of that, and also the implications of the overall language itself. It's weird, guys. So, okay, here's what she had to say.
So, I think there's a message here. They're telling us, we give you life, creation, universal harmony, everything that the sun, the moon, the stars, the cosmos, the primary vibration mean. And you have the possibility of destroying it or saving it. That, to me, is perhaps my interpretation, could be the fundamental message of that sphere.
Okay, they gave us life. And all of this, by the way, is very rooted in Hindu or proto-Hindu mythology, which is really, really fascinating. I mean, we're talking about something that's 12,000 years old. But we're gonna get further into that. All right, so it's heavily involved in Hindu mythology or proto-Hindu mythology. Is this to be taken literally? I guess the people that wrote this on there, whether they created it or not, believe that, or were told to believe it, or they were part of the culture that believed it, and they wrote this on there. That's something that she says in a different part of the video, is that she does believe it was ancient humans that wrote this message on there. Again, we don't know if they built this thing or not. And we're going to explore who these people were or might have been. So, yeah, it was done in Proto-Sanskrit. Now, Proto-Sanskrit is a slang term, but the real term is the Indo-Aryan language or languages. So according to Wikipedia, the introduction of the Indo-Aryan languages in the Indian subcontinent was the outcome of a migration of Indo-Aryan people from Central Asia into northern Indian subcontinent. Another group of Indo-Aryans migrated further westward and founded the Mitanni Kingdom in northern Syria. The other group was the Vedic people. The Proto-Indo-Iranians, from which the Indo-Aryans developed, are identified with the Swastika culture and the Andronovo culture. All right, so who were these guys? Who are the Swastika culture? Who's the Andronovo culture? Well, let's find out. Andronovo culture. Yeah, they were in that area, and the Swastika culture, they were in that area where Russia is. Here is a video about the Swastikas. It's a very nice video. It's really intriguing, some of the information to come out of this. They they were Russian or Proto-Russian and very mixed DNA, largely European. But yeah, they developed the chariot, interestingly, and yeah, they were the chariot people. They used it in war, and yeah, they I guess blended with the Andronovo culture or whatever, connected to the Andronovo culture, and then they migrated, and they used that language. Yeah, and a lot of them originally came from Europe, but there is a genetic mix. This is what they might have looked like. Interesting. Got very nice beards. And yeah, so there's the genetic makeup there. So the Andronovo culture, similar stock of people from a little further south. And yeah, interesting. Very, yeah, people that I had never heard about. This is all, recreations, of course, of what they might have looked like or what their civilizations might have looked like. Here's, I guess, some old busts from these guys, vases and busts. And yeah, you'll see the swastika there, which was an ancient symbol used around the world. It has nothing to do with the Yazis of Germany, but they did seem to use it, which is interesting. But keep in mind, yeah, it was used in that general area or all over the world. Used in Iraq. Yeah, it was used in Iraq, India. The Hindus used it. The Buddhists used it. The Navajo used it. Various Native Americans used it. It was a global symbol, which is why a lot of people connect it to Atlantis. What do you get with Atlantis? They're associated with pyramids, things that are global, right? The megalithic construction with the interlocked, masonry and the nubs, pyramids, the swastika. But again, it meant good things. It was used by all various races and religions around the world. The Navajo, interpreted it as the four winds. But different Native Americans also used it, and it meant different things to different peoples. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it was used by those ancient people. Here it is on a Hindu temple. Hindus using it. Anyway, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, this ancient people did use that symbol, and it's depicted in multiple places in their artwork. So is that a connection to Atlantis? I mean, maybe. Well, I mean, it's interesting. So here's what, yeah, their genetics were very, very mixed. Genetics and what they might have looked like. So really interesting. However, it doesn't make any sense. All right, doesn't make any sense. So they were around like 2,000 or 3,000 BC. That's something like that is when they developed it. According to ChatGPT, it's really hard to invent a scenario where they were using that language or anybody was using that language 12,000 years ago. Why 10,000 BC doesn't work for Proto-Indo-Aryan. Linguists place Proto-Indo-Iranian in the late 3rd millennium BC, usually tied to the Santashta early Andronovo horizon on the Eurasian steppe. The fellows we just looked at. Yeah, that's 2200 to 1500 BC, not 10,000 BC. The earliest direct Indo-Aryan attestations, I can say that, are much later still. The Mitanni, Indo-Aryan terms in Syria, and then Rig Veda in South Asia. Ancient DNA shows the steppe ancestry associated with early Indo-Aryans reaches South Asia in the 2nd millennium BC, not in the early Holocene. Even the most early models for the Indo-European family as a whole put Proto-Indo-European around 8,000 to 9,500 years ago, 6,000 BC, still millennia later than 10,000 BC, and long before the Indo-Iranian split. You got pretty close, even at the earliest models, 7,500 BC. There's a few thousand year difference there. That's further, from, we're 2025, right? So they're further out from that than we are from the year zero, right? Interesting. So what the hell? How could any of these guys have you been using this language? They certainly wouldn't have been creating UFOs or had the ability to, stencil. They wouldn't have a written language. Even if they were using this spoken language, they wouldn't be writing it, and they wouldn't have the ability to write it on the boggasphere. None of this makes any sense, guys. Are we talking about time travel? What the hey? What the hey, guys? Are we talking about time travel? The beings seem to possess the ability to time travel. The technology of their crafts is just kind of baked in to their technology. Many of them seemingly going through dimensions. They are other dimensional beings, or their crafts are capable of transmedium travel, but also transdimensional travel. And once you go beyond the fourth dimension, if we're saying that's time, you're outside of time. And you can pop in and out whenever you want, which is so damn annoying. I hate time travel. Time travel is so stupid. If time travel is real, then it's so hard to understand anything, because A doesn't have to cause B. Z can cause A can cause M. How can you make sense of causality in a world like that? Well, that may be what we're dealing with. I don't know. I don't know how else to make sense of people using this specific language. 12,000 BC. Unless, of course, the beings gave us that language and they put it on, or perhaps they gave that language to other peoples before they gave that language to those, Proto-Iranian Aryan guys, whatever they were, right? Maybe this is a gifted language and they have given that to various other people. It's possible. It's also very interesting that from this translation that it's very heavily influenced or involving Hindu mythology. So were the peoples who created this interacting with those gods or beings that they perceived to be those gods? But it gets even weirder. There might be a connection with the Nazca mummies. I take a look at, that symbol there and that symbol there. The ones that look like an H with the diagonal. And also these marks, the three lines. So let's examine some of the writing supposedly found in the Citadel, the site where the Nazca mummies were found. Okay, I've tried to find the full-size image, but all I'm finding is these compilations that Wixie has put up. I've shared the full-size image in previous videos where you can see these pictures blown up, but I'm not finding that at the moment. If you find it, let me know. Okay, but let's go through some of these symbols. We got the three lines there. Now, I think those are a little different than the three lines on the boggasphere, but that is part of the characters. That is their, something they use is the three lines. They also have the H with the diagonal. And some of these other characters may be similar as well. And what's this taken from? This is taken from the pyramid, supposedly in the Citadel, where the Nazca mummies supposedly were found. There's another example of the H as well. It's going to be hard to make out, but right there is an H. And this is on, I think, the tomb where some of the specimens were found. Really intriguing. There's other writing as well. I would love somebody to examine some of that writing. I'd love somebody to examine any of it. But yeah, that's why I think we really have to take the Citadel videos very seriously. If these are hoaxed, then somebody invented a language. And if this language is different from the one we just looked at, then they invented two languages. Not to mention huge sets and many, many props. That's why I think that the Citadel videos, if they are hoaxed, it's the fight with the mantis and stuff. That's the hoax part, but it was filmed on location. Let's see, yeah, and we got videos of living beings, all sorts of artifacts. But yeah, we have videos of those guys. So potentially that could be faked, right? But it could be faked on location, which I think is very possible. However, look at the number of bodies and with the armor and everything. It's just a staggering amount of work if this was a hoax. But you look at scenes like this where the guy is fighting the mantis being or the large alien, whatever it is, which looks so hokey. It really does. But that hand, that tridactyl hand, is a dead ringer, as I've talked about before, for the large, giant severed hands that we have. We have the severed hands of, at least 3 severed hands that belong to very large, potentially 9 foot or taller Nazca mummies, beings. And we don't know what they look like. So potentially that is one of them. But, I'm not saying that's real. I'm just saying that's very interesting. But if those are hoaxed, then I believe that they are hoaxed on location. Because, again, that is a staggering amount of work went into this, if this was a hoax. So I think we need to take these videos very seriously and these images very seriously. And when we see that, some of the characters on this pyramid in other places in the boggasphere, or excuse me, the Citadel, when it matches characters on the boggasphere, wow, that is really, really interesting. What does that mean? What does that mean, guys? That is just super, super fascinating. And it's really interesting that, the boggasphere responds to, Hindu mantras and Hindu chants, again, seemingly connected to Hinduism, or at least, that part of the world. What possible connections could there be with the Nazca mummies? Why would that language potentially appear in connection with the Nazca mummies? And how does any of it possibly connect to the Bronze Age cultures, the Santoshta and Ontovo cultures that developed the language potentially found on the boggasphere, or a related language, a language that led to another language? How does any of that make sense? Now, we know that Maria, for example, some of her DNA is Asian. Think about it. I don't know if that's a direct connection or not, but it is interesting. It's all very interesting, guys. I don't know what the hell we're talking about, but we seem to be dealing with ancient civilizations, lost ancient civilizations, thousands of years separated from these fine individuals, the Santoshta and Ondovo cultures. I'm probably getting that name wrong again. But yeah, these guys likely did not create a UFO. They probably didn't have the tools to put that writing on the UFO if they did create a UFO, or if they just found a UFO. They didn't have written language. They may have helped develop this language, and are responsible for, ultimately people using Sanskrit. But they didn't create the boggasphere or write on it. But they are using Proto-Sanskrit, or, indo-aryan languages, which seems to be what's on the boggasphere. So what's the connection, guys? How does it all make sense? Unless you invoke a lost ancient civilization like Atlantis, like Lemuria, potentially beings are involved in this. Very likely, beings are in the mix somewhere. We've got a UFO flying around with no visible means of propulsion, a very anomalous thing, which was either created, one would think, by NHI or by Atlantis, Lemuria, whatever these lost civilizations were, that may have been using a language that was thousands of years later being used by these guys somehow. Now, Gobekli Tepe was created within that same general space of time, right after, we could say, the fall of Atlantis, or not long after that, at least according to the general date that Plato gave us. Now, I shared this picture a few days ago, this weird bird holding a ball or sphere. And I shared a very similar picture depicted at Easter Island. Yeah, this guy. Both cultures in wildly different places in the world, in different times, one assumes, were creating very similar images. Now, both were depicting different birds. I think that's significant. As if they were depicting something they had been told and they were interpreting it in different ways. But yeah, the Gobekli Tepe civilization, they were in touch with somebody, or they themselves were in touch with a global presence, whether that's Atlantis, Lemuria, or NHI, or something else. Interesting, right? And it does date to about when we would need somebody to be speaking Proto-Sanskrit. We don't know what language the people that created Gobekli Tepe spoke. It's a weird thing. They took hundreds of years to make it and hundreds of years to bury it. Why? Why is nobody digging this up? Why has the excavations on this thing been halted like they have, and they have no plans of fully excavating the site in the foreseeable future? What are they trying to hide about this ancient site? How might it be connected to all of this? I don't know, guys, but something's going on. Something really intriguing is going on here. And it's all connected. So let me know your thoughts about it all in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. Love to see you guys there. If you want to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store below, or by becoming a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really do appreciate you guys' support. Thank you. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.